Course, as you have actually stated, today the Senate received and considered the report of the Senate Ad Hoc Committee to investigate oil theft and its related impact on oil production and the country's revenue. This Ad Hoc Committee did an extensive work, that's clearly stated in the report, and then based on the observations that we encountered after the engagement of relevant stakeholders in the industry, across the industry, their challenges, and then we came up with a lot of recommendations. And we came up with about 14 recommendations, but at the end, the Senate in the Committee of the Whole further enhanced it by additional 2 recommendations. I think the essence here is to actually put things in perspective and ensure that the laws that are passed by the National Assembly is strictly implemented in line with the provisions of the law, which in this case is the Petroleum Industry Act. One of the fundamental challenges that we have, that are clearly stated by the industry players, major industry players, international oil companies, is on the ease of doing business, where they're forced to report to 2 regulatory authorities. And then, of course, the recommendations there too that we have recommended, I think, will actually put paid to these issues. And one of the recommendations that we have also resolved at the Senate is that the Minister's Directive cannot supersede the provisions of the PIA. The law clearly delineates the responsibility oversight of the Upstream Commission to regulate activities in the upstream sector, and also the midstream and the downstream authority to regulate the activities in the midstream, which starts from the refining point of view sector, and also the downstream, which is the distributions. And the PIA, as was clearly highlighted by the National Assembly, the essence of the creation of the authority was to deepen domestic gas utilization and also increase investment in the downstream. So we believe that the authority has no business regulating terminals that are related to upstream, whose byproduct is the crude oil. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yes. So the byproduct of the upstream operations of a petroleum industry is the crude oil, and therefore its terminals are owned by the producers. Bonga is owned by Shell, you know that. Then Forcados is owned by Exxon. Therefore, those terminals are meant, they're integrated in the sense that it is under the instrumentality of those terminals are the products exported to other countries. So we believe that the midstream authority must restrict itself in line with the provisions of the law to midstream and downstream, and then the upstream, restrict yourself in line with the provisions of the law to upstream activity. So I want to encourage you to grab a copy of this report, because I can tell you it is not our intentions to amend any sections of the PIA right now, because we believe that any attempt to do that will send the wrong signal to the international community about our inconsistency, and which is not also good and apt to attract the much required investment. One of the areas we also touched on was what we saw, and in terms of our on the spot assessment, the level of environmental degradation. The pilfering of our guys, over 600 spots. When you overfly, you see these things. Holes are dug everywhere across the Niger Delta region. Illegal refineries. And we believe, and one of the fundamental findings is also that most of the oils are shutting because of lack of evacuation access, because of the pilfering and all theft attempt by third parties to integrate our pipelines and all that, and most of these oil companies are forced to actually shorten their production, because they cannot guarantee that whatever it is produced will get to the terminal for export. And these are the things that are not good for business in Nigeria. If an investor is not producing, and is getting income for revenue for what is that can you encourage him to bring more money. So this has been the bane. So we believe that these recommendations, if properly implemented in line with the directives of the Senate and the National Assembly, will go a long way in streamlining regulatory authorities over this over the industry, so that anybody who wants to operate in industry in the downstream will know who to report to, and who wants to be in the upstream will probably know where to report to. We don't want to go into an offshore terminal and we have the authority there. That's strictly for the upstream regulators. So I want to encourage you to also look at this. And one of the fundamental recommendations that have been approved by the Senate today is the need to deploy an online real-time measurement lagged system, so that Nigeria will be able to ascertain and know exactly in real time what we produce and what is exported. I think this will go a long way in ensuring that the country derive maximum benefit from its oil and gas resources. We also brought to the Senate and the floor of the Senate the need to also streamline the presence of too many agencies at the export terminals. Because we believe that with the deployment of an online real-time digital system, which will reduce human interferences and churning up online real-time figures, all these agencies can tap and key into this and tap their whatever number, because what all the agencies are there to ensure is to ascertain what is the quantity and the volume of crude exported. So I believe that through the instrumentality of a unified online real-time monitoring system, these figures can be gotten without by the touch of a button. So NPA doesn't need to send a contractor, a consultant to the embassy, and is paying. Ministry of Finance sends and is paying customs, immigration, and the LEA. So we believe that there should be less where you have less human interferences in a situation of this nature. I think it makes it more effective. So I think, as the chairman of the committee and my colleague members of the committee, we are grateful to the Senate for giving us an opportunity to serve this country, and an extensive work has been done on this report. Because when you present a report, 14 recommendations, and all the 14s are taken by the Senate and the whole Nigeria, it means that they appreciate the fact that you have done a good work on that on such an assignment. So we are grateful for this opportunity, and we believe these recommendations, if well implemented, will go a long way in ensuring that activities in the oil and gas industries are properly streamlined in line with the provisions of the PIA. That's what we are saying. Adhere strictly to each provision, because those provisions are without any form of ambiguity. I think for me, what is most important is that we must accept a collective responsibility for what has befallen the country's oil and gas industry. Because crude oil theft didn't even start today. It started since, I think, 2004, in line with the contents of that report. And I believe that, like they say, a stitch in time maybe would have saved 9. I think crude oil theft can only be possible because I'll take the Saudi Arabia example. The country understands and knows exactly how much volume is produced. And in Saudi Arabia, all pipelines are just on the streets. And nobody's touching it, because those pipelines are more those pipelines are in line with current technology, where you can actually ascertain where any spot that is being tampered with. But I can give you an instance that when we overflew the entire region, we could not even see the right of way of this pipeline, and it's in a report. And where you don't see the right of way of a pipeline, how can you now ensure effective surveillance? So it is only known to these criminals who have been in those terrains for over a very long time. And more so, I must also let you know that these pipelines were installed in the 40s and early 60s. So I can tell you that one of the key things that we must embark upon is the replacement of all organs and pipeline, because they've used their lifetime. So we are just managing So it's an all-encompassing. And when it comes to stealing, that's why I say we must all accept collective responsibility. Even as an ad hoc committee basis, we're even saying, could we even recommend a capital punishment? How would that work? And because they're coming into PIA, I'd envisage that all these issues as regards host community benefits and all that would be addressed. But when you see the huge theft and the volume involved, it kills the real essence. And the real essence of what the host community trust fund was meant to achieve. So I also believe, like Nancy stated, yes, the country, based on record, we've lost over $2 billion. That's how much is a deficit? How much is a deficit as a country? If you lose $2 billion, that's almost about 1.3 trillion. That would have taken care of a fiscal deficit or enhance the implementation of a capital budget. So we cannot allow criminals to take advantage to bring the country to its knees. I believe that this HARO committee, we have done an extensive work in this report. Yes, we cut short our vacation to undertake this national assignment, and I believe we are happy and excited that all the recommendations that we have presented, it's approved all adopted by the Senate. So I think it will go a long way. We are not here to apportion too much of blame, but where you apportion blame, you don't get anything solved. But we equally must also take our own responsibility. The executive must take their responsibility. The security must take their responsibility. Even the oil producers must equally take their responsibility. Because you cannot explain where an 8-kilometer pipeline is induced in an 8-inch pipeline, is inserted in a 36-inch oil pipeline and it runs up to 8 kilometers into the high sea, and they're stealing our crude. You can't imagine this. So stealing of crude, because it's a cartel all over the world. Not only in Nigeria, this crude stolen. All over the world. Go to Mexico, it's the same challenge. So it's a high crime. And you cannot allow your country to be exposed security-wise to these criminals with so much money at their disposal. They can bring down the country. So I believe that we have done our part. The executive must do his part. The stakeholders must do their part. The security must equally do their part. And collectively, we can bring this to its final conclusion. There are a lot of formal and informal approaches to solving if that contract was duly contracted, duly processed and procured, I don't think we'll have any issues with it. And if that contract also yielded the desired outcome, I don't think there's anything wrong in it. But we must commend NNPC, because I can tell you as we speak, Forcados Terminal has restored 500,000 barrels a day to our national production. And then just about 4 or 5 days ago, the first 87,000 barrels a day was received at the Boni terminal. So things are getting better. You can imagine. So this means that the abridged interventions that were done recently by government has yielded a positive result, because most of this 500,000 output have been shut in and nobody will have been produced. And you can imagine the effect on employment, effect on investment, because where I as an investor cannot derive any maximum revenue from my investment, because what is being produced is being stolen. It doesn't get to the export point for me to export and make money. I cannot invest further. That's why we've not actually attracted the more desired investment into the oil and gas, despite the PIA. But I believe that with these recommendations, with the streamlining of the activities, the oversight of all the regulatory agencies, the country's oil and gas industry will heave a sigh of relief. So I thank you.